What's up, YouTube? It's PJ's Chess here. So today I'm going to try and vlog a Blitz tournament I have. I don't know how it's going to go. I got to ask the person first and get a cameraman. But assuming that you sharing this, it means I did do those things and it will be posted. So yeah. So this first game is against a 350 rated player. I'm black, as you can see here. We start off with the French defense. They did not play like a 350 though, as you'll see here. We do start off with the Tarrasque variation, I believe, or something like that. Yeah. Oh no, they do knight to c3 instead. Yeah, this is a fun first game. I had some nerves. You see, I rolled up my sleeve. They go pawn to f3. They're playing pretty solid. And I was pretty surprised. I played this person before at this tournament, and they did not quite play this well to start the game. Also, I wanted to mention that I end up going 5 out of 8 and I get 4th place, but I played a candidate master. You saw by the title of the video, so you'll see that video at the end as I played him in the last round. I also played a 1900 and we split games, but I beat the 350 twice and I beat a 1327 twice. And this is Blitz. And the candidate master is about 2100 in classical. As you can see here, cameraman, my dad, goes a little off kilter. But so far in the game, you can see they're loading up. They're about to castle queenside. Now, honestly, I feel a little pressure. As you can see here, they have more pieces aiming towards my king side. They take this pawn in center, which I thought was a bad move. I didn't put in the eval bar. I thought they could have pushed e5 because I messed up by not taking. I should have taken and then probably did my plan. They go for this check here. I also think I took it back with the wrong pawn. None of this has been put in the eval bar, but just a feeling for me playing the game. The knight here on c6 did not feel correctly placed. We're taking some time here, and that's one thing I think I mentioned in my streams and my videos. If you haven't checked those out, you should. That I try and time people out over the board, and you can see I'm just moving very quickly, very simplistic plans. Maybe not even always the best move, but I'm trying to get a time advantage. When they slide their bishop all the way back, I move my queen here to c7. I'm looking to see if it was an okay move. I'm trying to get my queenside castle, and I do. They went pawn on g4, and that's when I knew I had to. And after h4, I'm feeling a lot of pressure to be playing someone who's this low rated. But you'll see shortly they make a blunder that I cannot really explain. I was a little thrown off by it. I mean, happy by it, but a little thrown off by it, honestly, because they were playing so good to start. They're taking a long time here, again, just trying to put pressure on the clock. Rating differences can be from, being better at chess, but it can also come from the fact that they don't play maze. You can see here, actually, they just drop a knight. They take that pawn there on d5, and you can see I'm kind of confused. I put my hand out and like, what are they doing? Like, am I missing something? So you may be looking at, why don't you take the knight? This is a rated game. I'm like, am I missing it? So I just take the knight, and I go up some material. You could see they also kind of thought something else was different there. You can't see their face, I don't record the other people's faces, but they're also kind of like, I kind of messed up. But after pawn here to g5, or g5, like I said, I still feel a little uneasy. Like, I'm supposed to be 1,400 points higher than this person, and I told them after the game, like, you're not 350, no way. Even besides, if you take away the knight sacrifice, which was not a great move, they were playing me equal and probably winning it. I don't know if someone's ever put this in a eval bar, if they can. I know I'm not going to for this game at least, but it felt like they were winning for a short time. I take this pawn here. I was a bit hesitant on what to do just because I didn't think the bishop coming in was a good idea. I'm also looking, if you see the bishop here on b7, it's x-raying that pawn here on f3. So I'm looking at that the whole time as well. When was the right time to move my knight out the way? But I didn't see any squares I wanted to get to. The bishop is on a nice square. Even though I'm up material, it does not feel like the best spot. And I calculate for a while. I believe I go knight d7 here, if I remember correctly. Because I'm like, I kind of want to trade down. I was making sure I don't drop anything. Because if you go knight d7, you have to take into account c4, kicking the knight out. But I calculated where it should work out. I could just trade the bishop off first. If they take the knight, I drop my bishop back. And they trade the bishop, then I take back with the knight, which I think is what happens. No, I didn't move it, actually. But you'll see. I'm taking a while to move, and I go knight d7. I'm trying to trade off. You see the bishop there on e7. I'm trying to trade that. So here, I don't remember what they do. I don't know. I think they trade though. Yeah, because they trade. And I don't remember them going back. And here my knights are in bad positions. I'd have this discovered attack, bishop captures. And again, you have to calculate for a while because bx a6 as well. But there's no checkmate because my queen's on c7. There's no dark square bishop. Although it would lose a pawn. I don't even think they take it. It does end up being bad. And they have a vocal reaction like, oh, like they missed that completely. If you can't see, I'm attacking both rooks there. It's a fork, so one of them will fall. There's no way to stop that. Yeah. So I'm trying to win material here. I'm up on the clock as well. You can see I'm up about 5 seconds, but it's slow. It adds up because I took the time to get up in a position. That'll take time to calculate. So I take the rook here pretty quickly. They take back, and they actually have some nice ideas after. Like, I take that knight for free, trying to get some more time, and I'm up a rook and a knight. But they don't just roll over, which I have to give them credit for. You can't take the pawn here on d4 because the bishop captures a6 here. It would win a queen, so I move my king here to protect this pawn, and now I'll go slide over and take the pawn there
on h4. Now after that, the rook will slide back eventually. I believe that. I'm taking time to calculate. Okay, don't lose. And I knew the pawn here f7 drop, but I thought that queen to h1 won a queen, or not one, but it forced the queen trade. But you can see actually when they take the pawn, and it'll be there shortly. And I put my queen here on h1, the rook can slide all the way back, which is something that me in the Blitz game missed. But seeing right now, like, how did I miss that? And the rook slides back, and I believe I take a second to pause, like, oh, I completely missed this idea. You'll see, like, I'm frozen. If you watch the video, I didn't take that long for the other moves. I completely missed this in the game, and I'm just kind of thrown off, like, what I need to do. But I have to move quickly. It's a blitz game. So I make a move and I slide back my queen. And not confident because, again, my plan that I had to just trade queens off and win an endgame is completely thrown off. But they blunder. Yeah. And now it's like, okay, I have a deep breath, honestly. I take that. And now this is just checkmate because the bishop slides there. And they shake hands. So that's game 1 of 8. Here's game 2 against the 350. So if you don't know how blitz tournaments work, you play each other 2 times with one color. The first game is black, the second game is white. I started playing the London system, the London defense. I guess it's more of an attack. You see I'm rolling my sleeves. I start d4, bishop f4, and they play d5, knight to c6. That's when I start to feel good. I know it's a 350, but that first game, if you remember, was very competitive. I go pawn on h3 so that the knight can't go to h5, a trapping. And here I take a time to calculate. I'm like, this pawn looks free. Maybe it's a trap because there is a trap in the earlier London system. But I come to the conclusion that it isn't, and eventually I take. I don't remember what I take. I think I take with the bishop, though, honestly, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I do take with the bishop. Take this pawn and go with some material, and then take back with the d pawn. I have a central pawn that will be a weakness, but you can see if the knight drops back, I'm thinking, oh, qx d5, so I can drop the pawn on e5 whenever, as I'll have 2 pawns to 0. You see the material count on the right side here. They drop back. I take the pawn on d5. So now I'm not as worried about protecting the e5 pawn, because even if that is taken back, I'll still have a material advantage. They attack here with c6. I consider I want to try and keep it or not, and I think I do try and keep it for the time being and go queen d4, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I go do a queen d4. I keep attached to the e5 pawn. Maybe I can keep it, but they actually go f6, I believe, and let me trade it off at some point at least. Well, first I go queen here to e7. I go knight to f3 to protect the pawn and develop on my king side. They go f6, as I mentioned, and now I'm like, oh, perfect. So I'm just going to keep this 2-pawn advantage and then try and castle. Now, the one thing I will say is, for the 2 pawns, they have a little more activity. My queen's a bit open, and then queen here to g5, or I guess that's b4, the board's flip, is a threat if my queen ever moves, so I have to be aware of that. They go pawn here to b5. They're trying to just attack the queen side, and what they're doing, which I think is very smart, is while they're down some material, they're trying to get an attack, trying to get some initiative on the queen side. And the king side, they're just a little bit better in terms of attacking. Like, my pieces are just weirdly spaced, and because they don't have the g pawn, the rook can slide over to g8 and put pressure on the king, so I don't really want to castle that way either. But once they go bishop to g7, I realize that they don't fully understand the advantage here, because they probably should have taken advantage with open file. I don't have the eval bar, so maybe I am wrong, but that's what I was thinking at least when I was playing. I go knight here to knight d to b2, trying to finish kingside development, so I can castle either way, whichever way works for me. They go pawn to f5, attacking my queen, which I saw, and I slide queen over here to h4, offering a queen trade on the e7 square. I don't remember if they take or not. I think they do take, if I remember correctly, but either way, you're not. Oh yeah, they don't. You don't want to take, but they let me get the queen trade. So I trade queens. I'm up these 2 pawns, and then I think I go pawn to a4 next, trying to put pressure here on this b5 square. Now this was a rushed move. I think if I take more time, I play something different. What it is, maybe knight to d4 or castle, but a4 in itself is just not that great of a move, in my opinion. Like, it works if they take the pawn and you want a bishop, but I need to play moves that work regardless of what their response is, and I don't think I played one here, to be honest with you. They slide the rook all the way over from h8 to b8. They're looking to take the pawn here on h5, or eventually, and then they're putting pressure on the b2 pawn right there. Well, it says g7, but the board is flipped again, remember that. I go knight to d4. What I want to do here is stop the dark square bishop from having all that pressure on this diagonal. Again, I traded it off earlier winning that pawn, and I'm also threatening this pawn here on I'm looking at the board on c6 and the pawn here on f5. But you actually see in the next few moves there'll be something that looks a little bit odd. I actually technically win the game here, but I'm not someone who really likes winning by technicality. But you'll see, they make an illegal move and hit the clock, and I hit the clock black and I put out the check, and they actually tell me I've muted the, maybe I didn't mute it, but I think I muted the clip where they say like, they lose the game because they didn't see a legal move. But yeah, they realized that, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really care that much. Maybe I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think I could win, if I'm being quite honest, because I just like playing chess. But honestly, I don't think, even if I was playing someone that I may not have necessarily known I was going to beat, I don't think I want to win like that. I much prefer to win just over the board. Although technically, you know, a win's a win, but I didn't do that. As you can see here, though, I was in a winning position. I'm up some material. The rook's stuck in the corner. I'm up a rook. I give a check. The king can't even come forward. They take the pawn. I take again, and this is just over. The rook is hanging, but I slide it over because it was a check that I took with. If it wasn't check, the bishop could take here on a1. I castle myself. My king still hasn't moved this whole time. As you see, I'm up a knight, a rook, and a pawn. My knight gets out the way, and then I'm going to slide over to c1. I think I do eventually. Yeah, I think I go rook f to c1. Yeah, I'm doubling up. Not doubling up. I'm pressuring here. They move the bishop. They can't move the bishop. They move the rook. I take the bishop. The king can't come forward. They're just going to be down too much material, honestly. King slides there. I give a check, I think. Oh no, rook slides up. That's even better. Look at me. I was better in the moment than I am now. But yeah, rook b3 puts pressure on the bishop. Their rook is on the light square, so they can't drop back the bishop anywhere and protect it. So they're just going to lose some more material here. They're taking some time to figure it out. If you can see the clock, I'm up a minute as well. So I have no worries on the board or on the clock. I'm feeling pretty good about the position. They're still taking some time here. I will say I was feeling a bit worried that it took me so long to beat someone I'm 1,400 points higher. Although I think they're higher than 300. Because if you don't know, Blitz and Classical are different rating spheres. So they could have a higher Classical than Blitz. And they just don't play Blitz tournaments. But I was just a little worried. Like, okay, I'm about to play a Candidate Master. I'm going to play a 1,900 at some point. More than likely, if I win, take care of business. And I'm just like, this is taking a little longer than I wanted to take. But yeah, I move my king here to f1. f2. Wow, the board flip is messing me up more than it usually would. But yeah, I go knight here to d4, and I'm just trying to figure out the cleanest way to do it. I don't want to stalemate. I'm just trying to take all the material and then eventually run my pawn down. Now, is there a quick way to checkmate? I'm sure. I'm certain. But for me, I want to do it as quickly, or not as quickly, as easy as possible. Now, if it takes longer, it's fine. That's why I take this time advantage. I just want to make sure I convert it. Doesn't matter if I win on 40 or 60 moves. A win is a win. My brain's not going to tire out taking a little bit longer. And I want to try, honestly, I would give up my knight and bishop at this point just so I don't, no chance of stalemate. And I don't remember if it's this game, but there's one game I win where I just completely remove it from the, I think it's actually in round 6, but I completely remove it from the equation. Or no, round 5. And this game, I don't quite, they're trying to make sure they don't get stalemated because I allow them to always have one square to go. Or this one they have 2, but you'll see later, they actually almost think it's stalemate for a second because they only have one legal square, but it ends up being checkmate. The king slides here. I just made my rook back if I remember correctly. Yeah, now I can just push the g-pawn as far as I want, as long as I want. So the king slides over. I keep pushing. King goes again, and it doesn't matter. It's almost like you could pre-move it, but you can't pre-move because you're not playing online. So yeah, king slides. I get the queen finally. And now, you know, they have this legal move. Not too many. They can go king here to e4, or they can go king to d6. They're trying to figure out which way to go. So you can see with their hands, actually, they're trying to figure out if they have legal squares. I'm assuming there was a checkmate here. Oh, there was. Yeah, if I just go bishop to g6, I think that's actually mate. Oh, no, it's not, because king can split up. But yeah, you see, I give a check here. King slides. Back, that being the only legal move, king to d2. I move my knight out the way, and this is the move they're like, oh, is it stalemate? But they have king here to c1 still, legal. I saw this. I'm just going to get rook, knight out the way so rook can slide over. So they're taking a while to find it. And actually, you see me pointing out to them because they don't see where it's at. And I was like, well, it does no harm to just let them know real quick. I just point to the C1 square. It should, I don't know if it's recorded on the video. Yeah, you see me point right there to the C1 square. They move. I slide my rook over. King goes to D2. And then, oh, that's illegal. Oh, I completely missed that. But yeah, I won that game. That's game 2, 2-0. And let's get to the next one. And here you can see I won this tournament 3 or so times. Didn't win this one, but I won. So here's game 3 of the tournament, my first loss. As you can see, we start off with the French defense. And they played something I saw online before, and I'm thinking like, wait, they just messed up. And I actually feel very confident to start the game. So I forgot to mention the rank. This is a 1940 rated player. So they're a bit higher than me in Blitz. I'm 1745-ish in Blitz. And I've played them before, and we split the games before too, so we split again. I lose this one and win the next one. And I actually feel amazed, as I mentioned before. I feel amazed. They have double pawns in the center. The king can't castle. I just think I have a lot of tangible advantages. I think maybe castle is probably not the best idea. If I put in the eval bar, it would probably agree. Another thing we have here is that they can't really attack me right now. I have no weaknesses. As you'll see, they have a very unique, or not even unique, a very smart way of attacking. They end up doubling up here on the king side with the rooks and just going down. I go pawn to a5 to stop their pawn from pushing down on my side of the board. Losing the fianchet on my bishop potentially and looking to go bishop there. I think if I were to go again, I would go h5. I considered going there and I decided not to. Or something with the king side pawn. I just let them roll down the board way too easily. I actually ended up losing on time, but it's because I have to do so much thinking in the mid game, which was due to me not behaving appropriately. I go h6 to stop pawn here to g5, and I'm taking this not serious at all. You can see by my moves that I'm just not too concerned about it. Honestly, I just didn't think it was going to work, but it ends up working as you'll see. But I think on knight b to d7, and my thought process with that was that whatever happens, my rooks should probably be connected, and my knight should probably be closer to the battle, even though I would assume if I evaluate it, it's probably better if I would have blocked maybe g5 or even g6, just something with the pawns. May have been a little bit better than what I did. But yeah, I go knight b to d7, trying to connect the knights, trying to connect the rooks. And again, I'm feeling very good. The clock is very equal. They're only up 6 seconds at this point, but as you'll see, they slowly increase their time advantage. And this is one of the longest games I played. It's almost the full 10 minutes is used because both of us get very low on time. But yeah, they're thinking here. They're trying to figure out how to attack. Remember, if this attack does not work, I'll probably win the game because of the weaknesses in the center of the board. So they got to figure out a way to win this game. They go pawn to e5. I go knight to d5. I expected this, and I have a slight time advantage at the moment, and I'm noticing that as well. Like, okay, I just gotta, play them equal for a while, and I should be able to come back out on top. And that is not what happens. I believe the next move I think they trade knights, if I remember correct. Yeah, they trade knights, and I was trying to decide which one to take with. I take with the c pawn, I believe, because I wanted to have my light square bishop be active at least. If I take with the other one, there are 2 pawns blocking it versus there being 1. I think they push their pawn to g5 next, or h4, one of those two, I remember correctly. But they're trying to roll down here on the king side, and I, again, just did not take it serious enough. Yeah, they go g5. Now, in hindsight, maybe I should have traded. Maybe. I was hesitant to trade because of the h-pawn, so I go up so they can never really come into the side of the board, and they play what I was dreading them playing, pawns to g6. Now, I was hoping they didn't, but they do play it. They were trying to break up. Maybe I should have taken it, but again, I just didn't really know. Oh wow, maybe I should have. Oh, that's so much better, because if I take it, then I could have went pawn to, I would be attacking the knight, and the next move I could have went pawn to d4. Oh, that would have been very nice. But I guess they didn't have to take it back. If I take the g-pawn, they could just not take the pawn back immediately and do something that protects their knight. I guess it'd still be protected. They could just slide rook over once I did that. So I'll take it back. If someone has an eval bar, please let me know in the comments. But I decided to go f6 after some calculation. I go knight captured here. I didn't take with the rook because I thought rook coming down on g5 loses the pawn. At least here I'm protecting the pawn. And again, I don't even feel bad about this position yet. I know that it doesn't look amazing, but like in the moment, I was like, okay, I can still win this. I definitely can still win this. I think I go d4 next. I think that was a rush, honestly. I should have tried to milk that a little bit longer, maybe get my rook involved. The problem here is I can't push e5, which would be a very strong move. So I just go there trying to get some space advantage. Not even space advantage, open my bishop up and get my rook involved. I guess I do get my rook involved first. What I was worried about here, I think, was knight to e5 and then knight down, but they can't go knight to d. Oh, they do that. They can't go knight to d7 after because the knight is blocking it. The rook wouldn't get trapped. And here I think I do go d4, which is not that great of a move now that I'm looking at it. Maybe I'm just losing here. Because now that I have the wherewithal to evaluate the full position without being stressed, I don't think I have anything. I think I'm just kind of waiting for them to win the game. But I end up defending decent. Like, the defense I have at the end of the game, it ends up working. But the problem is I don't have enough time. And you can see here, this is one of those moments where I'm losing some clock. I'm down 30 seconds at this point, and I never get this time back. Like, the whole time, the rest of the game, they play with the time advantage. And that's how they end up winning, which is what you're supposed to do. We're playing Blitz, and it's not a cheap win. Like, it's a win. I gotta win. I gotta play within the time allotted, and I didn't here, so it sucks. You can't really see their position. But I believe they just slid their rook over. Yeah. Okay, there you go, cameraman. There we go. As soon as I said it, they realized as well. Yeah, I think they slide the rook over in the next move, because it is under attack. I will take that pawn, and you see the clock is evening out, but I think I said I never get it back. I do get it back momentarily, but you'll see very quickly with some of the moves they make, I don't win. And if you're watching this game, maybe you're realizing that eventually there will be a mating net with knight on f7, which I don't realize until it happens. So right now, if you saw it before I just mentioned it, you saw something better than I did, because I did not realize until they went knight to f7 that eventually they'd be able to mate me. I slide my rook over here. This was a move. I just didn't have another move. To be quite frank, I didn't really know what to do. I knew that I had a worse position, and I didn't know how to stop it. They go knight here to f7. I think I just slide my rook here to d5 next. But again, this is taking me so much time, and I'm actually, wow. I said I didn't get the time advantage back. I was up like 20 seconds there. This is bad clock management. I'm realizing less than a clock issue. Do I take off the wrong piece? I think I take with the bishop if I remember correctly. And I'm looking to go pawn to e5 next. But if I don't take with the bishop, I definitely made a huge mistake. I'll say that much. Now that I'm looking at it after the game. Okay, I take with the right piece, I think. It was with the bishop. I'm hesitant, and I do take it. So I don't remember what happens next. Whatever happens, they somehow lose the h pawn and get their rook involved. Oh yeah, they go c4 because I wanted to go pawn to e5, and I'm looking to take this pawn here on the a4 square. I'm attacking it, and they're not even worried about it. They get their rook in. I take the pawn. What do they do next? I don't remember. I'm with you guys right now. I'm just kind of a viewer. I don't know what happens. I slide their rook over. I think I slide my rook over. Or I move my bishop. Why do I move my bishop? I do not. Wow. That was not right. And I think I realized that in the game too. This is not a great move. They slide there. I think rook over made more sense. Does it not? I don't know what I was thinking. But regardless, it's not doing amazing right now. They're double attacking the pawn here. And another issue is there's going to be a checkmating threat. That's why I take the knight. Because if they take the pawn or take with the rook, the rook can come down to h8 and I can't really stop it. So I go for this exchange. The issue here is everything is hanging. Like I have a 2-pawn advantage. So we actually have equal material. But my pawns are so weak. They're not on the right color complexes. And we have the same color bishop. So they can pressure up areas of the board. I push up, just trying to make a move. You can see here they have a 17-second advantage, and at this point, they never give it back. We trade the bishop for knight, so now I have a bishop and pawn versus rook, and then 3 pawns each. I go king here, and I think what I should have just done as my strategy is just move a little quicker. Like, whatever happens, I can lose on the board. It's not that easy to win rook versus bishop, but I just take too long. So that's more like a strategical error that I'm looking at right now. I should have tried to trade down pieces quicker and just go for, like you see, like I'm thinking too much right here. I'm hesitant because I'm down material. I'm trying not to lose, but it doesn't matter if the position's bad. It's a blitz game. I have to keep the material. Yeah, this is under attack. I decided to just trade down, and my thought here was that they couldn't stop this passer. But the issue I'm having is that I also can't stop their passer, and I actually end up blundering, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I push the pawn up, king gets there, and I move my king. And I realized that you saw that hesitation, like, oh, I moved my king, and I have to slide there to guard it. They take the pawn, and now it's just a loss. And I moved my bishop too, and I was like, yo, oh, I guess I had to move my bishop actually. But in the game, I didn't realize I had to. I was like, man, I messed up. You may be thinking the game is over here. It's actually not, but I'm down this 14 seconds. I guarded very well. And he even told me after the game, like, I made it very difficult for them to checkmate me. But I'm just, and you see the clock actually just starts going away. But I'm just down 15 seconds. And this is someone who's a 1900. They know how to use the clock. But I'm guarding the position. And each time I'm taking some time to think that they don't have to take. And that is why I end up losing. You see the clock just going down. And I realize it the closer we get. Look at that little move, that hesitation, because they played a good move. I didn't know what to do. And it's just over. Yeah, they let go. I take the pawn. So I finally figured out the defense. This is a draw, I think, for the most part. I think it's almost impossible to win rook versus bishop. But it doesn't matter if I have 6 seconds and they have 17. They just kept this time advantage, and it ends up working. I'm not even looking at the clock anymore because I just knew I was down so much. And I feel the heartbreak. As you could see on his face, he was confident. Like, okay, I just have to do this, and I run out of time. So yeah, that's game 3. Here's game 4. This is another game against the 1940 rated player. I ended up winning this one and going 3-1 after this. Both of us do. We start with the London system. Feeling really confident, and just off of my pride, I knew I had to win this game. I couldn't win back to back. I feel like I'm around a 1900, 2000 level player. Like, I'm not quite expert, but like high class A. And this was a perfect test to prove it. I lost the first one. Can I win the second one? This is actually what happened in the last one. How I won one of my tournaments. I lost the first game to him with the black pieces. So all four games we played, the white pieces have won. Just a check in the box for people who say white is better. For the Grandmaster, have a higher chance. We're not there, but white has won every time against these Class A people going against each other. I don't know why I couldn't get those words out yet. They go e5. I take the pawn here in the center. And I love my position right now, honestly. Their queen's in a weird spot. And the tactics here, honestly, are amazing. I go bishop c4. This is the first sign of me being a tactician. I'm looking at that pawn here on the f2 square, or f7 square. They go pawn to b5. They go pawn to h5. I go a4. And they go pawn here to b4. This is where I was like, okay, this is a little weird. They're a little bit weak. And I think I go for the kill with knight to g5 right here. I think, do I do that? Or no, I go knight. Oh, first knight to c4. Look at me. Oh, because I remember now. I'm looking at the d6 square. They go bishop here for the fork. I just slide my rook over, I believe, so it's no longer pinned. I'm fine with them trading bishop for knight. It's no worry. And they probably should have, but they don't end up doing so in this game. They keep their bishops for a long time. They take the pawn. I so badly didn't want to take the pawn back, but I think I ended up having to because I wanted to go knight to g5, but if they took that pawn, they'd be attacking my rook. They slid the rook over here to b8. The camera's a little down, but maybe you can see it. Oh, look at the cameraman. He cooked. But yeah, I go knight here to d6, attacking the rook, and my following move, I go knight to g5, I believe. I'm just trying to be aggressive here. I know it's down a little bit, but you can see for the most part what's happening on the board, and there it is, up again. I go knight to g5 next, I believe. They're taking the time to calculate what happens, and I think I take a lot of time here as well. The reason I take time is because there's a world where there are two pieces for a rook. So let's say they do rook captures b3, qx b3, and they do qx d6. They get two pieces for a rook, which is actually better for them. So I'm trying to calculate how I want to go about something like this. And if I remember correctly, I just take the pawn first originally. I was also looking at knight to g5, but I think I just take the pawn. And the reason I do that is because if they take the bishop, then I could do queen captures and then the b3 square, and I'd be protecting the knight diagonally still, and then knight to g5 is still an option. Then what happens on the board, they end up blocking with knight to d5, which I also calculated, and e4 is a very easy counter. So I take some time, and I find I'm taking a lot of time to find this, but I didn't end up calculating it correctly, I believe. Unless they also just did not find the correct move, I at least made a very difficult decision for them. I just take the pawn first. I'm like, okay, let me be aggressive. I don't want to be passive. If I lose, I lose because I was trying too hard and not hard enough. I take the pawn here on the f7 square. The camera's a little better angle here so you can see what's happening. They decide to take back, I believe, and when they do take back, I have knight there to g5 just waiting for them. They have no other option here, really. It's just losing, and I think that's the best way to go about it. Go knight to g5, double checking my calculations. They go knight to d5. I also calculated that, and you'll see I swiftly go e4. Maybe not swiftly, but in my mind it was swiftly. I knew e4 is the move, but I may take some time to triple check, because right now I'm down material. If I don't calculate this correctly, I'll probably lose the game, so I got to make sure I know what I'm doing here. But yeah, they do block. I go e4 as I calculated it. Or I'll take the rook first. Okay, and then it's e4. That's what it is. So now I'm up some material. They have two minor pieces, and now e4 to stop it. And now if they do rook captures to b3, qx b3, and the knight is still pinned. So I have a nice position here. And if you don't see the pin, the king is on the f7 square, so the knight can't move. I'm attacking it with the pawn. They move their knight here. I double checked that I can just go back bishop a2, but I was pretty sure I could as soon as they went there, because again, I calculated this whole line out as I saw it as a very nice tactical maneuver. I just go bishop a2 so that the knight can't capture. The pin is still alive, and then the pawn on a4 is really not even hanging because the queen's protecting it. They realize that this is an issue, and then they just take on e4, which I also kind of figured they would do. That's what I would do, honestly. You just got to get something back for it. The pin is still there, but I can no longer take advantage of the pin. This is the pawn that would be there. The pin is going to be going away to take the pawn on e4, and I'll take back the rook. Oh, well, here first. Oh, no, they don't do that. But they slide rook over. I calculate that in the game, but right now, for whatever reason, I calculate knight captures. But the end result, they get a pawn for it, so excuse me for that. But I go queen f3, attacking the king. I hope you can see the board here, because this is a really nice way I finish off the game. So I give it a check. You can see here, I'm up some material. Their king's still weak, so the material's not even the best thing. I'm trying to figure out, is there a way to go or to check me? You see my little head shake, but I just go for a check here on g4, I believe, for just attacking, and then if I find something, I find something. I'm also looking, this e5 square is kind of weak, but they have two defenders on it right now. Actually, three if you count the king. Now I slide my queen up, giving a check. Oh, and I remember the tactic. This is a beautiful tactic. Maybe you see it coming, but they block with the bishop, and this is just game over. Bishop captures e5. There's nothing they can do after. It's just, for so many reasons, a great move. The first reason is to take my queen. I take their queen with the discovered check, and I'll take the rook. Then if they take my bishop, as you'll see, they can only take with the queen. So I can take with the rook check and then get my queen out the way, which is actually what happens in the game. But I was just, at this point, I was like, yeah, this is over. I'm up on the clock as well. I'm like, okay, thank you. Because I know I'm playing a candidate master. No chance. Maybe it's not a chance I win them all or win both. I lose both, actually. One was competitive, as you'll see, and one was not. I take their queen with my rook. They move their king, and I slide my queen out the way. And I actually missed the tactic. You'll see me, like, kind of talk to myself, like, what are you doing? I completely missed that this knight is hanging. Like, I don't know what I was looking at, that I don't take the knight on the next move. I ended up moving my rook out the way, but it was fine to just... They don't move the knight. They see us under attack. They move their rook instead. I don't really know what they were thinking, honestly. I mean, I guess it's losing anyways. I still have a rook and bishop in the corner that my head's blocking, so Yeah, you see the rook and bishop there. And I take the pawn, and you see me shake my head like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I know the rook was hanging, but I think taking the knight was still better, because if they take it with the bishop, then I had queen to c7, where I would have won the rook anyways, so it didn't even, oh no, I guess I couldn't have won queen c7, because bishop would have taken, oh, so I guess it was fine then. Me being mad at myself in the moment when it doesn't even matter. I slide rook over, just trying to close off anything to happen. I think I give a check here with my rook here on to d7, attacking the king, and the queen's guarding the h6 square. And after queen here to a7, they resign, as there's just nothing they can really do. So queen a7, attacking the last square of bishop, and then threatening checkmate in 2 moves with rook captures h7, king over, and then queen to f7. And here they get the handshake. So that's game 4. Next up, we have game 5. Now, added pressure here. I have to win both these games to play the Candidate Masters, and I want to play the Candidate Masters, so I have to win. I like to talk about this with the 1900. I gotta win this one. So, also, this is a 1327 rated player, so they're decent, not quite as high as me, but are a pretty good player, so I have to figure out how to win. You see, this is actually seen in front of me this time. We asked the player if they're cool with it, and they said yeah, because it was kind of, you see it's kind of tight behind me. But I'm playing the London system to start off is what I play. Right from this perspective, it's kind of interesting to see how quickly I move. The clock here, I already have a 20-second advantage, and they notice it very quickly that I'm moving a lot quicker to start the game. I take with the e-pawn here, and I'm feeling confident. You already see I'm up 20 seconds. I see a little look over like, all right, feeling good. I want to keep a time advantage. So how do I win this game? One, with some nerves, I have to play very solid. I have to just not be super aggressive. As you'll see, I'm actually not that aggressive as I was in the last win I have. I win both these games, by the way, so I do come through. Assign my rook over. I'm doing all stuff that I would do online, just basic development. Rook e1, a4, all stuff. Wow, this is, the camera work a little shaky on this one, but he was doing it for a while, so give him some slack there. But yeah, I go a4. The queen, I'm looking to go b3 very soon. You see they've castled already. This is a pretty solid position so far. I moved my knight here to c4. I'm not too confident in that move, but I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't want to give up my time advantage. I don't even see what they did there, honestly, on that last move. But oh, they moved their knight. Yeah, they moved their knight the way because I'm double attacking the pawn there, and I slide back. I don't want to use too much time, even because I just don't see anything there, and I just want to go back, reset, and maybe go queen and b3 next, looking for some time. Oh, this is a great angle. I hope it's like this the rest of the time. But yeah, they're taking some time to think here, and I think they go queen or rook over. I don't remember which one it is. Or maybe it's just knight back. Yeah, they do go knight back to d7. And I'm like, okay, we can't do this forever. I gotta figure out something different. And I think I do. I either go queen. It must be queen b3. Because I remember thinking, like, okay, if I go knight back, we'll just get repetition. And I have to win this game to be able to play them. And I mentioned I got 3rd place earlier. I actually got tied for second. I tied for 3rd and got 4th. Because me, the Cannon Master, and 1900 all played each other. And there was someone who didn't play, I think 2 of us or 1 of us, so it ended up they were able to beat the other people. They got 5.5, but the 3 best players I think were 1st, 3rd, and 4th for this one. Not to diss them or anything, but it was just it was in the same competition level. Like the cumulative score, if you know what that is, it's something like the difficulty. It was a huge difference between 2nd place and then 3rd and 4th because we both played the Cannon Master and we played each other. But here I go knight here to e4. I'm trying to win some material here. They dropped their bishop back. I'm looking at the pawn here on d6. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? How do I win? First, do I move my bishop? I'm going for it, yeah. I go bishop here attacking the rook. And, oh, I figured it out, yeah. This is actually the winning tactic. I didn't want to spoil it, but I actually win material here. The problem is they can't block with the bishop. They will rook up. I can take the pawn with the bishop. So there's no way to save their rook, and they just decide to take the knight there on e4. If you can't see, if they went rook to e7, my bishop on h2 would take the pawn, and since it's guarded by the knight, I would take the bishop again, or take the rook again because it's pinned, and it can't drop back because of that. Decide to do that. I calculate to make sure I can take the rook here on e8 because I just want to make sure I don't blunder anything. I don't want to get up 2 pieces for a rook. I want it to be a few general, like I win this trade, I win this exchange. I end up calculating and it ended up being that. At some point, I think they did take the pawn on c3, if I remember correctly. They take this first. I take the knight back with the rook, and then they do knight capture c3 because they discovered attack on my rook, and I have to move back and just let them get that material. Even though I'm up in exchange, so they get a pawn and a bishop for a rook. Something I'm more than fine with. See, if I take the knight, they'll take the rook here on e4, so I move my rook out of the way of any harm so I don't lose that exchange. And it actually does not feel like super easy to win. You see I have a huge time advantage here in about 40 seconds. It dwindles, and it ends up being a long game, because sometimes when you're up material, it's harder to move when you're down, because you're down, hey, very simple plan, very simple idea. You just got to figure out a way to not lose the game. and you already know you're losing, so you're playing with house money, so to speak. But because I know I'm winning, I'm trying to figure out how can I keep my advantage and convert it. And it's not super easy. Like, I figured out eventually. And my first thought is to get on the open file, but it's not super natural or intuitive to do this because everything is covered right now. Like, it's still middle game, and in the middle game, the minor pieces are better than rooks. Honestly, it's not till the end game you start to see the difference in value. And also, if you look at my position, my bishop's bad, my knight's bad. Like, I don't have too many ideas, so the time advantage I have doesn't last very long. You see, it was 40 seconds, now it's 20 seconds. It's already changing here. But I doubled up on the c file. I feel like that has to be an obvious move. Even though I don't have a super winning plan, I knew I had to do that to do something. They get their bishop all the way over. I slide my queen over here, looking to go b4, potentially b5, at least get some space. Like, right now I don't have a concrete plan, just general positional ideas. They went bishop here to e7 to get behind this pawn, looking to attack my queen on this file. I'm trying to calculate if I can still go b4, and I think I end up still going b4. I don't have another plan, and it ends up that what they're doing doesn't stop me because they have to move their knight and their pawn, which is 2 moves, and mine's also 2 moves. And because I go first, so you'll see I go b4, then move the knight, then b5, and they push. My queen can get away safely without losing anything, but I don't think they end up doing that anyways. Yeah, they go bishop here to g5, which I could not understand. It made no sense to me, but as you'll see, very hypocritical. Not even hypocritical. I do the same thing in a game against the candidate master where I trade where I don't need to. And I think that's actually why I lose. I'll be able to see a little bit better in the recap, but just before recapping it, I think that's how I ended up losing that game. That's the CM right next to me, as you can see there. Yeah, I'm on board 2 and they're on board 1. They're playing 1900, where they 2-0 them as well, so they are just a step above us. But we both actually said that. We were talking, me and the 1900, like, hey, we're both high class A, not quite expert or CM level, but like high class A players looking to get high. Well, I'm looking to get higher. They're kind of, it seemed like they were kind of content with where they're at, which is not a problem. Not everyone. I'm trying to do something that takes a lot of time and effort, and they admitted that they're just not really willing to give that yet. But yeah, I go rook here to c7 here, winning some material, taking this bishop on the b7 square. I forked it, attacking the queen and the bishop at the same time. Slide that rook over, and that's something you want to do. I think I mentioned it a lot on my channel. You don't want to trade when you're down, but here they kind of have to. If I double up on that rank, it's just game over. At least now they have somewhat of a chance. I mean, limited. Like, I'm still going to win, but it's no point in quitting, and it makes way more sense to trade off versus letting me just get my rooks on the 7th rank, and I commend them for that. They end up having to trade. I calculate. I don't know what I was looking at here. It's pretty easy. I should just take the rook immediately, and oh, the camera went up. Maybe I had to sneeze for a second or something. The volume is muted, so I don't know what actually happened there. Oh, their head's a little bit in the way. Maybe they're trying to lift up a little bit. Yeah, I see. But I don't know. What am I calculating? I don't know why I just take the rook back. That was kind of an obvious move. Regardless, I don't know what I wish I could explain to you what I was looking at, but I don't know what I saw there. Yeah, they push pawn here to e5. This is kind of a bad angle, but you can see. Remember, my rook is there on the c7 square, so keep that in mind. I move my queen. Do I move my queen or take the pawn? I don't. The indecision you can see that I had during the game I have right now. I take the pawn here, they take. Oh, then I move my queen here. I'm attacking the queen, forcing the queen trade. I set up my board. I'm a little nervous, like anxious, because I want to play the candidate master so bad. I have to win both these games. I offer the queen trade because the queen was on this e file and they have to trade. I take that, and now I have a rook advantage. They're looking to try and promote these 2 pawns, but they're isolated. I have a bishop and a rook. They slide their knight here. This is a fork. If you can't see, my rook here's on e7. I have to more describe what's happening because I know you can't really see it as well right here. But yeah, I move my rook back. If they take the bishop, I'm fine. And then I slide my rook over. So the 2 cards away from queening, it's fine. Take the bishop, I take the knight, pawn push, rook over. Pawn push, the bishop can take. So either way, I'm fine. There's no way they can promote. Even though it looks a little perilous, it looks a little bad, it doesn't matter as my pieces are 1 step faster than their pawn. They move their knight because they also realize that. I take the pawn here on the d6 square. Now I'm attacking the knight as well, so the pawn on e3 is going to fall soon after, and I'm just going to run down the board. They actually play the whole time, so it's still a little bit of time left in trying to win. They have 8 seconds, which is sort of the issue. I take the knight, they take the bishop, they push their pawn, and I slide over. So that time advantage, and I haven't talked about it as much at this time, but it does end up being the reason I win. I'm just pushing on the way, and this is just my competitive side. Like, I didn't have to do this. Like, I knew I could just move my king back and forth, but I'm still trying to win the game, and they're trying not to lose on time, which I understand. Like, I did that too in the game earlier, even when I was about to lose, and the game's over there.
Next up, we have game 6 and game 2 against the 13-27. So I'm playing black in this position. My dad started recording a little bit late on this one, so we missed the opening. If I remember correctly, we played a French, or no, did they play the Queen's Gambit? Something of those sorts, but there's d4, d5 in this opening, and you can see that's happened so far. So I'm castle, their castle, the knight and bishop's out, and I go pawn to c6, and I'm not doing amazing. And again, I'm feeling this pressure, like I have to win this game and play the candidate master. So mentally, I'm not super at ease, even though I'm a high-rated player. They're a good player. Like, we've had competitive games every time we've played. We've played a lot before, and it's a must-win and do something that I think is fun. You see, I'm looking over at their position, and I'm trying to make sure. I usually look up when I'm playing chess, if you haven't mentioned, but because my dad's behind me, I don't cheat, obviously, but I don't want to give the impression that I am. And they obviously, again, they're comfortable with it, but I don't want to make them feel any unease. So I'm trying to look over when I'll look up when I'm trying to think. Not just like one of the things I do. But I went a5 and then pawn to b6. I'm trying to break their c5 pawn push. In this game, I actually end up getting down some material and then give it back quite quickly. And we'll talk about it a little bit more when that happens on the board. At this point, I feel confident. Like, I know I'm feeling nervous but confident at the same time. They can't go pawn to b4 else I lose some material. We trade those things off. I take back with the queen. I wish I could take the free pawn here on d4, but I can't, because if I were to take it, they could do bishop h7 where they'll win my queen. So, yeah, just not a good idea for me to go there. I go bishop here to d6. And one thing I will say about my position that ends up being the reason I get down material, and I do win, but not because of this particular thing. I don't develop quick enough. I think I'm taking too long to develop my pieces. I'm over here thinking what to do. My queen, I'm trying to figure out if I can take the pawn and here on b2. If you can't see, the pawn's undefended, and so I end up wanting to take the pawn there. It is fun that me taking that pawn ends up being the reason why they decide to trade back, because I'm up a pawn and a piece. Not up, I'm a pawn and a piece for the rook that they'll take eventually. So we both sped that up. I take that pawn, and it isn't a great position, as you see. Maybe I should develop instead of taking it. I bet the EVA bar says that. I haven't looked at it. I decided to trade, which I think was another bad decision. I have a lot of bad decisions to start this game off. I think that's a bad decision because they have a lot of pieces angled into my king side, and I realized shortly, or right after this, they can actually sacrifice quite soon. Oh, I don't take the knight. I think I take the knight eventually, though. Somewhere I do. Yeah, so now if you can see, they're angling into sacrifice on the h6 square. And I realize, I'm like, oh no, I gotta win. Like, I can't draw. I can't lose anyways for rating points. But I really want to play a cannon master. I like playing people that are better than me. I think it makes me better. I want to see how I stack up against people that, have titles, these top 0.1% players. It's fun for me. So first I trade, they trade, and then I have to calculate again, and I end up going knight here to e4, I believe, trying to stop what they have going on there. And the reason it stops it is because they were to sacrifice now, I could just go f5 and my queen would x-ray that part of the file pretty easily. So that's why it ends up working. They take, I take, and you'll see shortly they actually give up on the h6 idea as they also realize it doesn't work. But remember, I'm not developed, so I have this pawn advantage, but instead of developing, I took the pawn. So my knight and bishop are not in great squares right now. I'm just not doing good. They have a much more active position, and honestly, I think white's better. They just end up not converting, but I think they did get to a winning position. They go knight here to d4. I'm trying to figure out what to do, and I mess up very shortly. I don't know if it's this turn or next turn. I think it's this turn. No, it's in 2 turns, I believe. Then I go f5 here, and then I go knight to d7, and they get a fork there. But yeah, f5 first to protect the pawn, my pawn advantage. I don't want to give that back. Then move their queen here, and I go knight here to d7, trying to develop an attack, and I just blunder. This is a horrible move, and I'm very good at keeping my cool when I mess up, for the most part. Like, in my head, I'm like, man, I messed up. But in a Blitz game, in a classical game, I think I feel a lot worse when I mess up. But in a Blitz game, it's like, they still got to beat me. I might just want to give them the game. And then I realize, I try not to have a reaction. And I'm like, you can see in my head, I'm like, oh, like, not great. And then go for it. I also almost blundered here. It's almost checkmate. Good thing I found that I didn't let go of the piece. And then you can see on their face, like, oh, he almost messed up. They almost got me. If you didn't see it, I dropped my queen back. QXG 7 is checkmate. So I found it just in time. I almost blundered that. We trade queens. They take my rook there. I take there. And now I'm down some material. Now, as I mentioned earlier, they end up trading down this material back because they're missing this pawn. So my knight gets active. And something they can't do really is if they slide their rook over. Wait, why can't they slide their rook over? I don't remember. Yeah, actually, they probably should have slid their rook over. I think it would have been fine. But yeah, now they feel the pressure because I get on the open file, the open B file. My bishop's on d6, and I'm trying to just get in on their side of the board, get my rook here to b2. I'm trying to play aggressive, even though I'm down material. As I mentioned earlier, when you
are down in exchange or have less artillery after you got outplayed, it's easier to play, and I'm flowing. You can't see the clock quite as well on this one, but I do have a slight time advantage. I think about 20 seconds at this point. So I slide my rook in after they trade the rook back for the knight, attacking their weakness. And now opposite color bishop should be a draw, theoretically, but it's not necessarily a draw in position, as you'll see here. So I wish I see what he meant. My dad said that you can't really see the game as well because the head, it's just harder to. When I'm doing it, I know he's recording, so I'm trying to get out the way. But if it's not your video, it's not as intuitive. But yeah, he gets a better angle here for a quick second. You can see I'm up one pawn, so I'm trying to take advantage of this one pawn here. I realized that the rook can come here to a7 or b7, where a7 to attack the pawn on the g file. But I realized it doesn't matter, and I just push the pawn some more, trying to get a queen eventually, because that's how I'm going to win the game. Because if we just trade these rooks off, it's opposite color bishops, it's going to be a draw. Like even a rating difference will not make up for that fact. I'm hanging that pawn. I wonder, they could have taken it, maybe. I don't know. Like, it's easy to say they could just take it now, but I think it's harder to do in the moment. Like, they can take the pawn here on g. I'm fine with that falling. I move bishop here to b3 to protect my pawn and try and run it down the board. They drop here back to f8, and now I move my rook. I think I move it back over to guard the pawn coming up. I think, here. Why'd I go? I don't know why I went there. And obviously you can't go king over. Oh, that's actually the only legal move, so I had to do that. I push the pawn forward one square. They slide their rook back. I push my pawn forward again. Now it's a light square domination. They have a dark square bishop. They can't do anything. I go here, and again, I'm not doing great on the clock. Well, it's about equal, but I want to make sure I have enough time to capitalize on the win. And here, if I push a8, a1, they have bishop to g6. So I have to figure out what it stopped at, because a1, bishop g6. If I go bishop back, so if they were to go bishop to g7, then I would be able to take with the king because the rook wouldn't protect it. And now they give the rook for the pawn, and now it's just game over. It's kind of hard to come back, and I have to figure out how to convert with enough time left on the clock. And I do so. I take the pawn here. I have two pawns, so I don't want to trade off too much or it'd be hard to checkmate. I slide my king over. You see I'm just moving quicker now. I'm trying to keep this time advantage. Rook slides over to give this pawn a runway here on the c file. They give a check. I think for a second. I decide to take because the rook guards the pawn laterally, and I can also slide. Oh, I take there again. Oh wait, did I mess up? I can take the bishop. Do I take it? Oh no. Oh, it's check, so that's why I can take the bishop. They move the bishop. I push the pawn. The king attacks, I'm pretty sure. And I think what I missed, or they push the pawn. The king attacks. No. Well, actually, I was going to say the king attack is not a great move. So good thing I misremembered that. They played a better move than I could come up with right now. They're going after. You can see they're not making it easy on me. They're trying to guard everything. And now I can just sacrifice the rook for the bishop. And they realize it too. So they move the bishop out the way. I'm pretty sure, yeah. I can just sack that. And they don't want to. But they move into a place that loses material. I take, and this is, if you remember earlier in the video, I know this is a long video, so if you watch this far, thank you. I said that there's a game where I get the middle piece completely out the way. This is that game. I move the bishop out the way, so there's no way for me to choke this and mess up. The king moves, and then I think this is where I just move the rook back over, and then go, now with my king here, king slides back, and now the bishop gets out the way completely, so I don't mess up and stalemate. And you can see, just check, over, king here, king over, and now king goes here to b2, and now I can just walk the pawn down this board, and I have enough time. And you see 20 seconds to about 15 seconds. I have enough time. I know I'm not gonna mess this up. Slide the queen back. They slide down this one square, and now it's just made in two. Yeah, so that's how I won this game, and now we have two more games against the candidate master. That's what's up next. Here's what everyone came for, my game against the candidate master. This is the first one where I played white. I lost both games. This one's a lot closer than the other one. So we started with the London system. They cast, so I go knight to f3. And I'm feeling pretty confident because I'm playing something I'm very familiar with, which is a common thing with me playing master. Check out my other game against the masters online where I lost, and I said the same thing. I felt confident because they played my opening. But that means they just know it a little bit better, or a lot bit better than I do. But yeah, here, I drop my bishop back to h2. They push e5. I take in the center. They take as well. And I drop my bishop back to e2. I'm trying to decide between bishop c4 and bishop e2. I choose e2 over c4 because of knight going to a5 possibly, and I just think this is a little more solid than the other option, so I go bishop e2. In this game, I'll say I played them very well. The second game, I do not. It's a very short one, as you'll see. But this one, I think I actually had a chance to win. I just mess up in the end game. But they go queen to b6, and I go queen to b3 following, or whatever, one or the other. I forgot the order, but basically our queens get there. I think they went there first, though. I'm offering the queen trade. I don't think they do. I think I go queen to c7, if I remember correctly, and I go knight b to d2 following up. I'm not a huge fan of them going bishop to e6 and f5 potentially, but I have to accept that they have some initiative because I just didn't play. Oh, I'll go a4 first, actually. They go bishop there. I go queen to c2, I think. I can send a queen c2 or queen e1, but queen e1 wasn't a rook sliding over. And then queen c2 is just fine. Even though I can go bishop f5, we could just go back and forth and back and forth. Although the knight can go to a5 as well. I'm taking some time here, but I don't want to take too much time. I want to have some time to think against the CM. That was a time a lot of ways to say time, or different times I've said time. I'll stop saying time now. But regardless, I go queen c2. They can go bishop f5, but I don't think they do that. Slide the rook over. I go knight b to d2. I can slide rook to e1 or rook a to d2. I guess I go rook to rook f e1 or rook a d1. Those are both options in the position. I'm still attacking this pawn here at e5. You can see their position. You can't see their last back row quite as well. You can see more what's going on here. If we can get a better angle, there we go. Every time I've said it, they also notice that it was not the best angle when they're recording. They go knight here to d5. Triple attack, defending that pawn on e5 now. They're being very aggressive, but I don't feel scared. Like, when I'm playing someone, CM or NM, like, I know they're better, but I don't feel scared the same way I play at IM or GM. Honestly, I don't think I ever feel scared, because it's fun. This is, like, fun for me. Like, playing someone's better, I like being the worst player more than the better player, because it's not as much pressure, honestly. So, like, I'm supposed to lose. I want to win. But I know realistically, like, beating a CM is not something that's super easy. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a title. But yeah, we trade there on the d6 square, and they're 2005 Blitz, but they're 2100 classical, so not quite as good as Blitz. But more probably because they haven't played as many Blitz tournaments. It's just not as many Blitz tournaments than it is classical. But I decide they're going back to get away with the pin. I decide to where do I go? Do I go knight or do I go queen? No, I can't go queen there. I must, because then it'd be a fork. You can see I'm thinking in real time as well. I also have my rook over rook e to d1. I wonder if that was better than rook a to d1. I guess maybe it is, because I'm still protecting the pawn here on a4 if it ever needs to have some protection. To slide their knight back, I think I slide my bishop forward actually and go for a pin with bishop to b5. And I'm also looking at knight to c4 after, I believe. But as I mentioned, I played them pretty good this game, and again, you'll see in like 6 or 7 minutes the other one's pretty bad. They take some time to think here. I think they slide their queen over to d7 if I remember correctly. I think qd7 or no, qc7 I believe, not d7. They don't pin themselves, but they slide their queen over to protect it because they don't want to have double pawns on the c file, and they slide queen c7. I go knight to c4. Sometimes take some time to calculate. I ended up going there because I just wanted to trade down. I liked my position. If they go pawn to a6, I can just do bishop capture. So it's not a huge issue that it will be trapped momentarily. I can just trade off, which is fine with me. I'm trying to get to a simpler position, as the less pieces on the board, at least in my mind, the better chance I have. Because I know I'm pretty good at end games, and I know the more pieces on, the more tactics. And again, I keep mentioning, but this second game is a blowout. Like this, you may be like, oh, okay, you're playing with the candidate master. The second game, I do not whatsoever. I go bishop here to b5, attacking the rook. And here they had a reaction you could see on their face, like I played a pretty good move. Slide their rook up, and I go for this end game because again, I have some confidence in my end game play, so I go for it. But it ends up kind of backfiring, and I make a mistake. I make a huge mistake that if you're watching this, you'll be like, oh, dude, why did you do that? And it's not even like something super obvious. Like, I'm trying to get to this endgame because I have the bishop pair. That's why I do this. Just keep that in mind. In my mind at this point, I'm like, okay, I'll go for endgame. I have the bishop pair. I should be able to at least draw it. But very shortly after, I trade the dark square bishop off. I don't know what I was thinking. It really makes no sense. Some of it was that I saw the clock was getting low, not a whole lot of time left, and I just agreed to trade it. We both rush our king towards the center. I go pawn to f4. I think that was also like kind of a mistake. I don't think that was a great move. They go pawn here to c. I take, and now I'm forced to trade now because of that mistake I made. I think f4 was the huge issue, and now it may be easy to see how I end up losing this game. Their knight is just going to dominate my pieces. They control that b3 square. Another thing I'll say though, I realize I probably still could have drawn it, but there's a moment later in the game. If you don't know Blitz rules, it's touch move. So if you touch a piece, you have to move it. And I realized after I touched the piece that I probably should have went b3 there. But I realized after I touched the piece that I couldn't I couldn't go there or I'd lose. But I touched it, so I ended up losing a pawn later in the game because of that rule. But I think b3 is a lot better than what I went, because now they can stick their pawns on dark squares on a light square bishop, so kind of useless. So you can see the makings of how this ends up being a loss already, as their position is just built to have a knight, and mine is built to also have a knight, except they have it and I don't have one. I only control one color complex. The only good thing is they have those small light squares over there, but it doesn't matter. I'm taking some time here because I want to be very careful. Slide my king over, and it's actually almost zugzwang, and they realize that, which is why you'll see them redirect their knight. You get a full look at my afro right here. Then we can get lifted up a little bit to the right. No. So for the time being, you're not seeing a whole lot of chess, to be honest with you. Oh, there you go. A little bit more. They go pawn here to g5. I go pawn to g4. Pawn to h6. And I think I move my king here. Yeah, because I like my position. I think it's perfect. Perfectly defended. And they know so, which is why they go for a different side. This is where things start to crumble. And the thing is, they don't even have to be honest with you. I slide king here to protect the pawn. They bring their knight in. And what I missed momentarily was knight can come back. And you see, this is when I realized knight to go to e2. So, yeah, that's why I slapped my hand. Because I'm like, dude, like, now it's over. Like, I had a chance to win, and now I don't because of this exchange. So it kind of sucks. Because if you're online, you can see it before and, click off. But that's why playing over the board is more fun. You have to be sure when you make a move, and I wasn't. And it's probably easy for you to see. I'm playing a cannon master. I'm down a pawn in it in game, like kind of hard to defend. It does suck though, because I think I could have held that because I found it before I hit the clock, but not before I touched the piece. So like some middle ground where I realized, but a little bit too late. So it's a little unfortunate. Those are the rules though. Like not complaining, just more mad at myself that I did not realize it, and I kind of just give up here and offer a trade. Because I'm like, I just can't win. I almost resigned, but I was like, no need to resign. But I know I can't win. Because I'm going to be down 2 pawns. I go bishop here to c2. I have no idea what to do. I'm just heartbroken that I had a chance to draw or be to cm. And I don't take advantage of it. I'm like, come on, come on, come on. And it was for something so dumb too, so silly. I saw bishop to d1. I could have played there to stop what they were doing. But maybe I'm looking at it wrong. And they were still losing that whole time. But it at least felt like that was the part that was completely lost. And you can't see right now, they take the bishop, they take the pawn, and very shortly I resign, as there's just no way to win the game really. I mean, king back was a little bit more accurate to cu2 versus there, but regardless, this is just, I can't really defend this. They move their king over, trying to take my other pawns. King has to drop back. That's the thing that sucks. If I drop back, they take the pawn, I get back the same thing, and I just resign here. There's no way for me to win. Now here's the next game, way worse but entertaining for you. Now you have game 8, the last game of the tournament. I finished 5 of 8, losing this game to CM, and this is a pretty quick one. The Taras variation of the French defense opening I played when I first started getting back into chess, so very nostalgic. I love this opening, and it sucks because I get absolutely crushed, as you'll see very shortly. They castle. I go pawn here to g6. Not what I usually do, so probably something. You probably shouldn't play CM playing something new. I usually go bishop b7. They go f4. They go knight here to f3, and I decide to castle right into their trap. I saw some of the stuff that they end up doing. They go a3, I go a5, feeling pretty good right now. And then they go bishop d3, stopping, double attacking this pawn. I decide, do I trade in the middle? I think I go c4. Actually, probably not a great idea either. And then I go b5. Not super focused on this. Now I see that they can go f5, and for whatever reason I don't go h5. I'm like, oh, this doesn't matter. They go here. I just take the pawn because again I already calculated this, so I'm not feeling too bad about it. I just take. They take this. I move my king up. I didn't want to take the bishop and let the queen get in. So this is all stuff I had expected, except I did not realize how good all this stuff was. So they bring their knight in for a check, slide my king back, and you could probably see how this ends up going not too great. Because I took with the e-pawn, their e-pawn can just push forward, which is something that I did not calculate. The rest of the stuff I did see, this I didn't see till about here before they do it, and I'm like, oh no, e6, and it's kind of just game over. This is another one of those things where touch move really gets me. I mean, I've been playing long enough to not let it, so that's on me. But I realized that after knight captures, the queen coming in is just checkmate in 2 moves. But the problem is, I realize it after they take this. So I see my queen under attack. Oh, I move my queen. Easy. But I see checkmate, as you'll see. I touch it, and then after I touch it, I realize. So you see, I touch, and then I'm like, oh, the checkmate. But it doesn't matter, and I just like, and I said it, like, I like, oh, it's touch move, so it doesn't matter, like, did I see it, and I'd actually just resign here, because it's made into, if you don't see, q, h6, king slides back, yeah,
toss my hand up, and that's game. That's the tournament. I hope you enjoy and have a good one.